I know you're all dying to know how I have survived 5 years and 400 square feet with this guy.
She loves me.
Yeah, that's it. Did you do your final walk around?
Yeah, I did.
You did the walk around, everything's put away?
Yep, sure is.
Are you sure?
Are you sure you want to do that?
Oh.
Arguments in small spaces suck. There's nowhere for you to go to get away from each other. And if you can't live with your significant other in 3,000 square feet, a 300 square foot box isn't going to help you.
No, not at all. So make sure before you make the leap to a small space, whether it's an RV or a small apartment, there are a few things you're going to want to think about. A, do you like hanging out with the person you're living with?
Yeah.
Are you guys friends? There's more to it than just loving each other. You really have to have that friendship and compatibility when you're squished in this little space. Moving into a small space like an RV is not going to solve your problems. It's really going to magnify them. Remember, when you're switching over to RV life, there are going to be a lot of new stressors. You're going to be trying to navigate this lifestyle, and you're going to be on edge a lot. So any of those problems that you might have had in the house, when you move them into the RV, they are going to get way bigger.
Yeah, and they pop up when you least expect it because you're sitting in the room looking at each other all the time.
All the time.
You can't just get mad and go, okay, it'll go away when you turn around and you're staring at the person you're mad at. Normally it's her cutting eyes at me because I did something wrong.
That's typical in this house.
Yep.
So today we're going to give you tips on how to survive living in a small space and basically tell you flat out how we've survived over the last 5 years.
The struggle is real.
Tip 1, get rid of clutter. Not only does it just make the space look messy and dirty, but it's really very dysfunctional. So getting rid of all the clutter in your face will actually calm you and relax you. And sometimes you need that calm.
Yeah, when it's staring you right in your face, I just can't stand clutter. So that helps me keep my sanity somewhat, Stacy. Get organized. That's going to help you keep your sanity. Know where everything goes in the RV.
Create storage everywhere you can. Being organized and having enough storage for your belongings and your partner's belongings are really important. So being strategic, finding those extra little storage places in the nooks and crannies of your RV will be important.
Use all of your cabinet height and width. It's going to help you a ton.
And if you want some tips on organization, of course, I will drop some videos down below to show you some of the things we've come up with over the last few years. All right, I'll let Phil take this one since he's much better at this than I am.
Clean as you go, especially in the kitchen. As most of you know, RVs don't have an abundance of counter space. I like to clean as I'm cooking. So when I'm done with an item, I put it in the sink. I'll clean it and then put it away while I'm still cooking. Others in my tiny living space don't do that.
Well, we all have our own way of doing it, but when you clean as you go, and not just when cooking, but around the RV, when you finish with something, you have to put it away because leaving 2 items out in your living room can pretty much clutter up the whole space when it's small. For sanity's sake, sometimes you're going to have to create some walls. And these walls can be physical walls, auditory walls, mental walls, and they really help you kind of go into yourself and create your own space. We do this a lot when I'm working on videos or when Phil's doing social media. We will be in the exact same space here in the living room working. I will have my headphones on, he'll have his headphones on. So even though we are together, we are totally functioning separately, and it really keeps our sanity and enables us to get through the task at hand.
But just remember, both of you are wearing headphones at the same time, so when you start talking to each other, you may scare the crap out of each other.
Or, you might think you're being ignored.
Yeah, ask us how we know.
Before you move into the RV, decide what each other's no compromise household issue is. So there might be that one thing that absolutely drives you up the wall, and that can be yours, and your partner can choose theirs, and that is kind of your compromise. You're not going to get every little thing that drives you crazy fixed here. But find that one thing that you just cannot deal with, and that way both of you guys can live a little more peacefully in the space.
So in a nutshell, pick your battles.
100%.
Yeah, if there's some things that just you can let go, let them go.
Or even if you can't let them go, maybe you should try really hard.
Noted.
Believe it or not, you don't have to do every single thing in RV life together.
What?
I know, it's shocking. Phil would love to do that. Me, yeah, not so much. So come up with some hobbies. Believe it or not, this YouTube channel was one of the hobbies that I started with to give me something to do, a little creative outlet, something to do kind of on my own in my own space. And here we are today. But you can find some things that you love doing by yourself. Go geocaching, start photography, dig into history and the locations that you're visiting. There's a ton of things that you can do on your own to give yourself a little space.
Yeah, nothing more than I like to go on a bike ride. Stacy doesn't like to mountain bike as much as I do, so that's kind of an outlet for me in those instances.
Yeah, and exercise are a great way to do your own thing, and it gives you a little happy hormones along the way.
And I need a lot of happy hormones.
A lot.
Yeah. Very well done.
You didn't know I could sing, did you?
No.
I didn't either.
Wow. Don't quit your day job.
Just stick with the shower.
Yes. Another thing is you might want to give each other a little alone time, even in the same space. Now, I know we sit like 6 feet apart, but I'm in the living room, she's in the dining room, so mentally we're in two separate spaces. Yeah.
So one way you can do that is pop your headphones in, watch your movie, whatever Netflix movie you've been dying to watch that your partner doesn't want to watch. You can read a book. You can go, if you're lucky enough to have separate spaces like we do, you can go in the back bedroom, shut the door, kind of have a movie night all to yourself. Find ways to kind of do things independently even when you're together.
Yeah, I like watching sports, especially football, so I will go outside and use the outside TVs. That way Stacy doesn't have to hear me yelling and screaming inside the rig.
I can still hear him. A big one we tell everyone to do is create a community around yourself for your RV life. And there are a ton of ways of doing this. And when you have that community, you'll also have other people you can go do things with other than your partner. So we think one of the best ways to do that is our someday crew.
Yeah, we have one heck of a crew inside our community. And the best part is they're connecting with each other. We're connecting with them as we travel. So it gives us other people to hang out with.
It's amazing how many of our crew members have met each other for dinner.
Yeah.
They're camping together. They're meeting up places. So it is a wonderful thing. And there are a ton of other ways to meet people and expand your community. Go to a rally. Join one of these membership platforms. Yeah. There are people out there looking for their RV bestie just like you are.
Know each other's habits. That's a really, really big one. Mine was get up in the morning, grab my coffee, turn on Sports Center, and catch up on my sports. And it was kind of loud in the morning.
And blast it.
But that's how I started my day.
And Stacey, I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah, she likes to get up quietly, get her coffee, no sound. She just dives right in and she's good to go. I just don't operate that way.
So Phil's always been one of the kind of people who like to have the background noise even when he's not watching TV, and I'm the complete opposite. I don't want the TV on. It really just annoys me. I like the quiet. So when he was deployed, the TV was hardly on at all, and when he comes home, it's on 24/7. So this was definitely, in the small space, was something that we had to compromise on, and thankfully Phil just doesn't turn it on much anymore at all unless there's a game or something he really wants to watch, which really has kind of helped me out because I'm somebody who likes less stimulation. After a while, it's overwhelming to me.
It is. I mean, I will have a game on or have the TV on in general, and I may walk outside to grab something out of either the Jeep or in the storage bay, gone 10 seconds, come back in, the TV's either off or muted.
100%. Every time.
And she was nowhere near the remote. She jumped up, ran over, grabbed the remote, and turned it off. But those are the little things that now, after doing this for 5 years, I've grown accustomed to either shutting it off or muting it myself before I walk out of courtesy for her.
And other things to think about as far as your routine and your habits is, are you an early morning person? Do you like to stay up really late? What are your habits as far as coming and going in the RV? All of these may disturb your partner. So one of the things that I like to do is I sometimes like to get up early and go for a run, but Phil usually sleeps a little bit later than me. So I'll do simple things like pull all my workout clothes, put them in the living room, so when I get up, I can get dressed out here. I don't have to worry about my light on my phone or digging around and stuff to wake him up. I just have to work on shutting the door when I leave, because sometimes I'm like, I'm in the groove, I'm already leaving, walking out the door and go wham! And of course, what does it do?
Bling!
The whole RV is shaking.
Yeah, it feels like somebody just hit us on the side or something. But it's little things like that over time you kind of work those kinks out the longer you go at it.
You just have to adapt and communicate.
Yeah. Damn it, Stacy.
It's probably not a good communicator.
Probably not the best way to communicate first thing in the morning, but we have gotten better.
What are you doing? What is that?
It's time for an upgrade.
What are we going to do with that big old thing?
Oh, this is for you. Your computer upgrade.
A big one in RV life is agreeing on RV purchases before you buy that next must-have RV item, especially if it takes up a lot of space, because once you bring that in, something's going to have to go out, and is it going to be your something or your partner's something?
Right, and if it's a big item that you have to move when you travel, then it's got to get added to a checklist, a setup list, whatever you have. So there's a cascading effect that goes into bringing in, I should say, a big item inside the RVs.
Let's talk about the one thing that everyone talks about but nobody wants to, and that is communication, especially when you're helping back up into a space. That seems to be the biggest trigger for couples, especially early on when they don't have their communication down yet.
Yeah, it's stressful enough driving these things, but then you get to a campground and now the stress level goes up about 10 different levels because you're in a new spot, the angle's different, there's trees, there's rocks, there's people watching, and the last thing you want to do is either run it into the pole, the pedestal pole, a tree, a rock, or even just have somebody laugh at you for 20 minutes while you're backing in.
So we really advise everyone to get their own communication down beforehand, and there's a couple ways you can do it. You can use cell phones, walkie-talkies, you can actually be verbal, or you can give hand signals. It doesn't matter which one you decide, but know up ahead what exactly you're going to do and what your cues are. The only thing we really advise is try not to use left and right, because your left is not going to be your partner's left. So try to say the pedestal side or the driver's side or the passenger side. Talk about it ahead of time. Let each other know what the goals are for parking, exactly where you want to line up, and then hopefully nobody's going to be sitting eating popcorn watching the show when you back in. And
putting up scorecards because you failed miserably.
Or you're all angry at each other for the next 3 hours. Not that we would know anything about that.
Yeah, because, Stacy makes a ton of great points just there. If she's standing in front of me, her left is different than my left if I'm looking at her through the window or if I'm looking through the mirror at her. The other thing that we definitely do not do, or I don't do, because I'm normally in the driver's seat, is I won't move this thing if I can't see her.
Yeah.
So if I stop and I'm not listening to her directions, she knows automatically if I'm not moving that she can't see me, so she will make herself available. She'll walk wider away from the rig, if you will.
Or I'll just ask, can you see me?
Yeah.
And he'll say yes or no. So communication while backing up is really important, mainly because it's a safety issue. We don't want anyone to get hurt. If you're not communicating with your partner and the person backing you up falls and trips in a hole, and we've seen this happen before, and your communication is poor, you could literally run over them. So safety here is key. Make sure you know what your cues are, and you can even practice backing each other up in a car if you want to before you start driving the RV. That way you know your hand signals or you know your cues. So good luck while backing up, and just so you know, we'll be watching.
Yeah, and we'll be scoring you.
These are just a few of the ways we've managed to survive living in such a small space, and to be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, it has been a wonderful 5 years, almost 5 years. We're coming up on our Nomad anniversary.
Yep.
And it has been an easy transition for us, but most of it is because, A, we're really good friends 99.9% of the time.
Yes, we are.
And B, we do like hanging out with each other and exploring together. So all the other stuff is really not as important. I'm sure these are not the only ways to survive small spaces. So we would love to hear your tips. Please put them in the comments below so people who are thinking about this lifestyle will realize it's totally doable.
So drop those comments down below so everybody can gain from all of our experience on how to survive living in a box of 300 feet or less.
If you're looking for more info on travel and RVing, make sure you join our newsletter. We send out info every week. And head over to the website, todayissomeday.net. There is a plethora of info over there for you.
Big word, plethora. I like it.
400 with this guy.
Small. We get asked all the
I wasn't
time
ready. I was trying
to make this living. Oh.
Yes. We're arguing.
Okay,
I can't believe you did that.
I'm going to the bedroom. Okay. Do that again.
When you have problems.
When you have 99 problems, but Stacy ain't one. Okay.
I kind of froze.
Yeah, you did. Now pick it back up right there.
Some of
I don't even know what we're talking about now. What was it?
What you really need to know is the first, like 8 years we were married, I never saw him. He was always gone. He was always deployed. So he might have been home for a month here, a month there. So for me, I pretty much was on my own. And then we moved to Illinois. When we moved there, he was home every single day. He came home from work. He lived 5 minutes from work, so there was no commute. So let me tell you, that was the first time we felt the wrath of always being together. And I guess we survived it.
We did. We had no choice. We had 2 kids.
It was hard.
And we had to definitely figure out our living situation. Because when I was on the ship, it was just me. I didn't have to worry about the kids and the washer and the dryer like she did.
Yeah. So for us, we were coming at it from a different perspective because we were always apart because of his Navy life. And now not only are we always together, but we're always together far enough away that we can actually reach out and touch each other. For those of you watching on a TV, right here over Phil's face,
right here,
I'm putting the link. So if you take your remote, go over there and click Phil's face, you can subscribe to the channel. Now about 60% of you guys watch from a TV. So for those of you who have been wanting to subscribe and haven't been able to, please go ahead and do so. It really helps out our channel.